Alright. Is this on? I think it's on. Yeah, it's on. Hello everyone! This is a video response to the Messianic Manic on his video, Why the Secret is Bullshit. Now, if you don't know what The Secret is, I am going to play a short clip by the Messianic Manic. I think he explains the movie quite nicely.
The Secret is this new agey load of horseshit that seems to be popular among middle-aged folks looking for some variety of unconventional spirituality, or among people who like to turn to the self-help movement to try to find ways to make more money or find a spouse or whatever. The essential gist of it is this thing called the law of attraction. This is the belief that you will encounter whatever circumstance you think about the most. If you think about getting rich, you'll get rich. If you think about getting sick, you'll get sick. Therefore, if you think about only positive things will happen to you, and you should try to push the prospect of any negative occurrence completely out of your mind.
I've been heavily interested in self-help and psychology for quite some time now, and I did read a lot about the law of attraction or the power of visualization. And so when my friend told me about this movie, The Secret, and told me I gotta see it, I checked it out. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is a pretty cool movie. I didn't really think much of it. I thought, at the time, it kind of made sense to me because I already had a lot of backstory of what everything meant. But I realized the movie was bullshit probably the next day when my friend was still super pumped about it. He's like, I can't believe that movie. It changed my life. It's so crazy. I want to start visualizing money. I want to sit here and start visualizing money so I make some money. And my first thought was, in my head, I was like, you idiot, that's not how it works at all. You can't just visualize money and it just comes to you magically. But at the same time, when I thought of it, that's kind of how the movie portrayed it. It didn't really tell you how any of this worked. It didn't give you any applicable steps. It didn't give you any action steps. All it really did, as far as I remember, because it's been like a year and a half, but I remember it was very kind of fluffy. It just kind of said, hey, visualize, imagine, and quantum mechanics will let you have it. Now, when I really think about it, I think about third world countries. I guess really the answer to all their problems is to just go tell them to imagine food and money and everything will be okay. Don't worry about donating any food to them. Don't worry about any charity work down there. Just don't tell them to think about food and they'll manifest. Obviously that doesn't work, so there's one circumstance where that doesn't work at all. Or what about a person who plays the lottery every single day? I'm sure they're visualizing money every day, but there's people that play the lottery their entire lives and don't make any money and will, like, you know, are probably pretty poor off, maybe unemployed, or have a crappy job that they don't want. So they play the lottery to escape this lifestyle, think about a new lifestyle all the time, but they don't manifest that lifestyle. They don't manifest a bunch of money. So it obviously doesn't work quite like that. At the same time, I personally use forms of visualization to meet goals or get what I want. And a lot of other really successful people have used the power of visualization to get what they want in life. I remember reading a lot of stories about really successful people. They would make collages of where they want to be eventually one day. So they'd make a collage basically like with a Bristol board or just like with a computer program or something of the house they want and the car they want. And a lot of them report on later in life finding their old collage, looking at it and being like, wow, that's actually the car I have. That's actually the house I have. Like, this works. I actually got what I wanted. So there is some truth behind it, but you have to, I guess, see it from a different perspective. There's a part of the brain, I forget what it's called, but basically it activates when you see something that is important to you, something that's like really familiar and has an emotional response. So, for instance, say you get a brand new car, you'll start to notice that you see the car kind of everywhere in town. It's not the fact that you got a car and everyone decided to get that same car after you. It's just that you start noticing your own car. You'll start to see your own car all over the city. Every time you kind of see it in the corner of your eye, you'll notice it a lot more readily. Or say that you're, in class, listen to a lecture, and you start to kind of fade out and not listen to anything, and then they say your name. Well, all of a sudden your focus is going to change. You're going to become aware again to your name. Now, knowing this can help you manifest what you want a bit. Here's what I mean. Say that George just graduated high school. In scenario 1, he has no idea what he wants to do with his life. He just has no idea. He has no clue. He doesn't even know what to look for. So he just kind of goes on with life. Maybe works at McDonald's in retail jobs or like fast food restaurants for the next 5 to 10 years of his life. In scenario 2, George decides, I gotta figure out what I want to do with my life. I don't know, but I'm gonna figure out. He might take a personality test, or he thinks about potential jobs he wants, and he decides he wants to be in the field of education. He wants to be a teacher of some sort. Now, let's say about a couple months down the line, there is a flyer on maybe a tree that he's walking by. I don't know why it would be on a tree, or like a telephone pole for free lessons on becoming a teacher or free education seminars. Now, in scenario 1, George is just going to walk right past that thing. He's not even going to consider it. He's just going to continue to walk to his fast food job somewhere. In scenario 2, that might catch his eye because that's something that's important to him. Scenario 1, he might not even notice the poster at all, but in scenario 2, he might have saw in the corner of his eye, education. Oh, that's important to me. I'm going to look at that, call the number, and then after he calls the number, starts taking education classes, he meets a couple people who are more on a similar path as he is. He meets a mentor who could teach him, a lot of stuff about education, might end up getting a part-time job. See how his life is a lot more aligned with what he wants based on the fact that he figured out and visualized and thought about what he wanted in the second situation. Or for another hypothetical, let's say George decides that his dream job would be to be a lead singer in a band. Now, he just watched The Secret, so he knows that, the power of thought and visualization will just work, and the law of attraction will make that happen. Someone will magically call him on the telephone and call him up and ask him to be part of their band. I mean, really? How often does that really happen? Again, you might be more likely to find the right people if it's on your mind. If you continually say, hey, I want to be part of a band, I want to be a lead singer of a band, you might say that out loud to the right person because it's on your mind a lot, who happens to be a guitar player. But you're really leaving everything to chance. You're not really directing your control whatsoever. You're just visualizing and hoping something will happen. But let's say he still has the same goal. In scenario 2, he wants to be a lead singer of a band, but instead of just sitting there and visualizing, what he does is he becomes a lot more clear on his vision, make sure his vision is specific and tangible. So instead of just being lead singer of a band, woo, I don't know what that noise was. He says, okay, I want to be a lead singer of a punk band, and I want to have a bassist, a drummer, and a guitarist, and I want to start playing at shows every weekend or every couple weekends. Now, he has a little bit more clarity. Obviously, like, nothing's going to happen with just that vision alone, but at least he has a little bit more tangibility. Because at this point, you could say, okay, now he knows a little bit more what he needs. He could start auditioning people. He could start putting ads online for bassists or guitarists that are into the genre of punk. He can start taking vocal lessons. You see, the thing is, it's not just enough to visualize. You also have to figure out the steps from point A to point B. You can't just visualize and then something's going to fall on your lap. You have to do the work. That is the fundamental problem of The Secret, is it doesn't tell you how to apply anything. It makes it seem like you don't have to do any work, and things will just, someone will knock on your door and offer you $100 or $1 million in cash because you thought about $1 million for the last 2 months. Or you'll be part of a band and someone will call you up with a record deal because you thought about it every day before you went to bed. You have to think about the steps that are in between, all the work that you're going to do. You have to realize that a lot of the hard work that you're going to do, you're not going to like doing at the time of doing. Like, I mean, sometimes you're going to have to do paperwork. Sometimes you're going to have to call people when you don't want to. Sometimes you'll have to get up early. But anyway, back to, like, the band example. Once you figure out all of that, it's good to visualize all of the steps in between. So visualize doing the work. Visualize sitting there and practicing for an hour. I find what's good about visualizing the steps in between is you kind of have a better understanding if you actually want to do that or not. If you are going to be a lead singer of a band, then you're going to have to practice singing a lot. If you're going to be a singer, then you're going to have to practice singing pretty much every day. Are you willing to put into that practice? And practice isn't just, having fun and just singing whatever you want. Practice is, practicing your scales. You probably don't have to do this as much if you're in a punk band, but practice, singing particular songs, getting into the groove. So all I'm saying is power visualization can be very powerful, but you need to know how to use it. A lot of self-help people say the biggest problem people have is not visualizing the steps in between. They just visualize the end product. They have no idea where they're going. That's like just telling someone to go on a treasure hunt without a map. You have no direction whatsoever. You need some sort of direction. You need some sort of tangibility, some concrete, measurable actions that you do, or some ritual or routine that you do every day, or you have to figure out the steps that are in between, and you have to follow through on the actions. You can't just sit there and think and things will just fall into your lap. So that is why The Secret is bullshit. I agree. Alright. I think I rambled enough. Peace.